I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie.
Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today, oh, what a doozy. So we're going to talk about that meme that was posted on Trump's account, his Truth Social. He had apparently it was a staffer who did it. That's the story anyway. But it was a video that was a screenshot, like a screen grab or whatever, of an election fraud video, whatever. And at the end, because I guess it was a reel, it automatically started playing a video that was like, in the jungle, the mighty jungle. And the video started off with the Obamas as gorillas. Now it had other people as other animals, but obviously there's a negative connotation that people associate with racism when you call Black people monkeys and stuff like that. So when I first opened Twitter, what I saw was that image, and people talking about, there are Christian influencers who don't like Trump who were talking about Trump, and Christian influencers talking about those Christian influencers, because it's like, it's fine if you want to talk about him, but I find it suspicious that you don't talk about left-wing people. And I'm like, what is going on? And someone had shared, I think it was a real Tim Scott post, and I clicked on it to see, because it was hidden, and then I saw the image, and because I think he said something like, I hope this isn't real. And then I'm like, oh Lord, is that real? So I'll break this down. We'll talk about it. I'm not here to defend him, by the way. I'm just going to explain what apparently happened. But if you follow me, you know I have had issues with some of the things that they post on his accounts. And I feel like if his memester people who are pro-Trump want to post stuff, then they should do that. But for the longest time, I've had issues with some of the stuff that they post, especially from like official White House stuff. And so now there's going to be this news cycle where it just kind of bites in the butt. But I'll explain what happened. But I hate how there's these issues that are very much his design. Do I think the media exaggerates stuff and are quick to pounce and even invent stories? I can give you an example of like an invented story of racism or whatever when coming to Trump. But this was an example to, I guess we're going to keep going with the monkey examples. He threw out the, I guess it doesn't be monkeys. We could just, Mario Kart, banana peels or whatever, just banana peels in front. Slip on the banana peel, create your own chaos. That is what's going on here. That's what's happening. I do see a super chat. I'll get to it. Thank you very much. But before we jump into that, thank you guys for joining me today. If you guys want to support, you guys can go to blacktnews.com, check a different content website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website, because it does cost a stream, run my site, all that good stuff. You guys can support. I very much do appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys can also do super chats and things like that. But it is good if you go directly to the website. You guys can also support by buying different merch at the website, mugs and t-shirts and things like that. You guys can also check out different books that I have available as well. So let me look at the super chat. The propaganda war against Trump is making me support him more than ever before. So that's another thing about this, because some people I saw, like, what do you meme said, I don't understand. He said specifically at Christians. Some Christians will just support Trump no matter what or whatever. And I think that a lot of folks have seen how much people attack him, so they just feel the need to just double down support, even knowing that he's not perfect and he makes a lot of mistakes. Now, I don't feel a burden to constantly defend this man. I feel just a need to tell you what happened and to explain what happened. There are things that Trump has done, that he said and has done policy wise on stuff, that have made me far more upset than this. So if people are like, why aren't you more upset about this? Because I don't, this really pales in comparison to other times when I was like genuinely upset with him. And I think at the end of the day, even if he saw that, what happened at the end of the video, I wouldn't even assume it was about racism. I would just assume it was because he hates the Obamas and would like the idea that something made fun of them, just to be frank. But yeah, I don't like situations like this. And even beyond this, because this one's really bad, there are other things that I complain about them posting stuff online. And then some people attack me for even complaining about stuff. I'm like, he's opening like a can of worms. I just have always wanted him to be more careful about what he posts online. He is the president, guys. Like, I know we're all used to him by now, but I think genuinely one of the scariest things that I can hear sometimes is when someone asks a question, did you see what Trump posted on X or on True Social or whatever? And it could either be something that was really hilarious, and a lot of times it is something that's really hilarious, and other times I'm like, oh no, why did he post that? Why did he post that? I feel like if you kind of free yourself from this like obligation to like really hate him or really defend him, you can just look at things like and just report kind of what happened. And I'm just sharing my opinions on it. People can be super angry about it or not angry about it. I'm sure people will still not like my opinion and still say I'm shilling or whatever, but at the end of it, I promise you that's not the case. I'm not paid by anyone to to be his PR firm. So I've always just spoke what's on my mind. So anyway, let me explain what's going on here. Someone said unforced error. Yeah, it's definitely an error. Definitely an error. So anyway, I hopped on X and I got a call from someone earlier today. I'm pretty sure it's probably what it was about, but I didn't end up taking the call. So I think one of the first things I saw was Ali Bessucky talking about Christians who are quick to attack Trump, and it's fine. She says it's fine if you do that or whatever, but I just find it suspicious that you don't talk about other issues as a Christian, like on abortion or gender mutilation and things like that. And you're always attacking from the left. And my mind was like, what's going on? And then I saw other people kind of alluding to stuff. And then I saw a post that had the image that was censored on X, and then I clicked to see the image, and then I saw the image. So I'm going to show you what it is. I'm assuming you may have seen it by now. Maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about. Well, we will walk through this whole ordeal. And this is the image. And I saw people saying like, "Oh, I hope that's not true. That's not real. This is some kind of mistake," because they just view this as really racist. Because all the, racist history of whatever of like Black people being monkeys and so on. And you have former President Obama, which a lot of people really liked. Even people on the right will say, well, I didn't agree with his policies, but I always liked Obama. Now, I don't like Obama and I don't like Michelle, and I never did. I was never one of those Republicans who was like, well, I still really like them. I didn't. So not just their policies. There are things about them that I didn't like on a personal level as well. I mean, I don't know them. I've never met them in person, so I don't have any kind of personal relationship. But just there are things about them that I don't like, and their ideologies. Besides like he implemented a policy I don't like or whatever, blah 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 blah. But anyway, yeah, this was making the rounds. So I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? So my first response to this is horror, but also I'm like, there has to be an explanation. Now, a lot of people would jump to this, he's just showing his racism, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, there's got to be, this is so wild. There's got to be some kind of explanation to what's happening. Why would he just do this on True Social or whatnot? So I keep searching. By the way, since we're here, Russell Moore said racist, deranged, humiliating to our country. The fact that we have decided to pretend this is normal every day is a moral abomination. Have we any shame? And every day an entire generation is being told it is Christian to support this. God have mercy on us. Now, no, what Christian is going to tell you that it's okay to support like this particular thing? They may tell you if you have the option between people who are going to run full steam ahead on, I don't know, the sacrificing of children on the altar with the abortion and stuff versus a party that's not into that, it's clear which side that you should side with, for example. They'll say stuff like that. When you look at situations with the church in Minnesota where Don Lemon and them stormed in, and or they stormed in and Don Lemon knew they were about to storm in, and then he came in and just covered and harassed people with his questions. And Democrats are just defending Don Lemon, defending the protesters, you know, et cetera. And you had people like Nicki Minaj who were like, why are you people still voting Democrat? They obviously hate you. They hate your churches and et cetera, blah, blah, blah. It's definitely not a good look on Democrats. Are Christians telling you to support Donald Trump posting images of Barack Obama, Michelle Obama as monkeys? No, no. Are Christians telling you to support Donald Trump because he's an upright, good, moral man? I'm not saying you won't find people who say stuff like that. I mean, I think you definitely find more I want to say naive kind of opinions like that during his first term and stuff. But I think a lot of people just accept the fact that he does good and he's worth the he's a hammer. We want him to hit certain nails. Not everything requires a hammer. And sometimes you hit your thumb. Sometimes you hit, I think Ben Shapiro sometimes you hit a baby when he uses the hammer analogy, and obviously hitting the baby is not a good thing. But they would rather Trump do that kind of job than the Democrats who want to set the house on fire, I guess. That's sort of the responses that you usually get from Christians, I guess, as far as the picking Trump philosophy. They don't say, yes, you should support Trump posting images of Barack and Michelle Obama as monkeys, or any of the like kind of petty meme stuff that he does or that he posts or reposts and etc. Some people love it. Some people go on, not this particular thing. When the White House does stuff, they're like, oh, whoever does these accounts, they need a raise. Sometimes the videos are great. Other times, sometimes when the videos are great, I still will take issue with them because I'm like, on one hand, it's really well edited. It's kind of funny, all this stuff. On the other hand, I don't feel like this is appropriate for the White House to post. And I have said that many times. If you follow me, I'm not like gung ho on their social media stuff. I complain about it all the time. So I am not a new person making remarks about this kind of stuff. This is wild though. So anyway, then I started to see that there was an explanation to the video itself. Like, why is Obama looking like a monkey? Well, apparently there's a meme, jungle in the jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. There's a video And someone from Joel Berry had said it's from this video, and they have portray all these kinds of different people as animals, and it's hilarious. Now I watched the video. I didn't really think it was hilarious myself. I guess I can see why people thought it was funny, kind of funny. But you know, it shows Hillary as a warthog, and there's Hakeem Jeffries, and there's other folks as well as different animals and so on. And then you got Donald Trump as a lion, and it also has AOC and so on. Now, I did watch the whole video of this, and it has like Harry Sisson. He's not a politician, but he's always talking about Joe Biden, sticking up for the Democrats and talking about Trump and et cetera, et cetera. He was a flamingo. So people are saying stuff like, well, Joe Biden was a monkey in the video. So if Joe Biden was a monkey, it's not a big deal that the Obamas were monkeys. I don't know who made this particular video. But, and let me just get out the way. This video actually wasn't what Trump posted. What Trump actually posted was a screenshot of an election fraud video. So someone posted that, but they like screen grabbed it. So maybe they recorded the video on their phone instead of taking it down. And someone was watching it on Reels. I don't know if it's Facebook Reels. I don't know if it was X Reels. I don't know if it was Instagram Reels or whatever. But stuff will automatically play into the next thing. On TikTok, you watch a video, it repeatedly plays the same video until you scroll. If you're watching something on, I think YouTube does that too, right? If you watch a video, it just kind of keeps playing the same video. Does it go to the next one? Maybe it depends if it's like on auto. I don't know. But if you're watching something on Facebook, it'll go to the next reel or whatever. So I don't know exactly where they recorded. On X it does that too. If you watch a video, it'll just play the next video, period. So at the end of the election video, it starts automatically playing the reel, and the video starts with Obama and Michelle as gorillas. That's how the actual video is. So let me go ahead and just show you guys how that is so you understand what I'm talking about.
Initiated by a court order, the Michigan investigation team obtained forensic access to a DS-200 tabulator, the machine that counts the votes. A Telit 4G wireless chip manufactured in Taiwan was discovered embedded into the motherboard. The voting machine tapes clearly indicate modem engagement and transmission of election data. Some of the anomalies that we noticed in the 2020 general elections, that 5 key states all stopped counting at a certain time in these key battleground states. These were all where the software, Dominion machines, ESNS machines were used, the Smartmatic, the GEMS software. So when the vote stopped counting, and this has been noted in other countries as well, President Trump was significantly ahead. When reporting and counting resumed, there was a massive spike occurred that favored Joe Biden.
So that's how quick it flipped. So if I screen record something from YouTube or whatever, you get snippets that you don't necessarily want in the video. So I will open it up in a different app and then edit it. It's very easy to do that. And cut out the snippet that I don't want in there. That's me as like a normal, I guess I'm not normal. I'm pretty tech savvy, but most people who do kind of different stuff on their phone and post a lot, especially online with different videos and so on, are familiar with some kind software, even if it's just a free software, like CapCut or InShot, is what I have on my phone. Just real quick, snip snip. There you go. It's so whoever did the screen grab and decided to post it didn't do that. Maybe it was on purpose. I don't know. But this was posted on Trump's account. And I'm like, maybe he didn't see the video at the end when he posted it. I hope that's the case, was what I was thinking. So a reporter from Politico heard from the White House, a source from the White House, that they deleted the video. But Trump legitimately did not see the video itself, and that a staffer posted the video. So that's the story. Now, I don't know who originally made this video of The Lion Sleeps Tonight, because a lot of people were before it came out, that started to be reported that Trump didn't see the video, like legitimately didn't see the video, didn't post himself, and it was a staffer who did it. People were trying to defend the video, like, oh, it's funny, and it's not actually a racist video to show the Obamas as monkeys because Joe Biden was a monkey, etc., etc. I don't know what the motivation is for that, but it just kind of seems like there could be reasons why particular people were particularly animals. Just because Joe Biden was a monkey doesn't, I mean, but why did you pick the Obamas for monkeys, I guess is my question. Like if you picked AOC as a donkey, I don't think that's supposed to be is that supposed to be a donkey? I'm not sure. I get why Trump is a lion. Okay, the lion sleeps tonight. I get why you have this really rotund governor as an elephant. So I'm not sure why she's a warthog. Like there's some I don't understand why there's certain things are. I don't know why they decided to pick the Obamas for monkeys, for gorillas. It could have been because of those sorts of relations in people's minds to black people being monkeys. I don't know. He didn't make the video. He didn't purposely post that particular video. Apparently he didn't even post the thing that people are freaking out about. I just think people saying, oh, just because Joe Biden was a monkey in the video doesn't mean that means that this wasn't supposed to be racist. I don't know if that was or wasn't the intention. I didn't think the video was very funny. Other people said it was hilarious. I don't know. I have different humor. I don't think it's a great video. And obviously if you make the first black president, because he's mixed, but him and his wife, and portray them as gorillas, people are going to associate that with racism. And that you're kind of making your own bed when you do stuff like that, as far as blowback and criticism. And that's why it's so wild that I saw that image and I'm like, there's got to be more to the story. Hope he wouldn't do something that's stupid. I hope he wouldn't do something this like shoot your own foot, slip on the banana peel. I hope he wouldn't. So there's a story that he didn't actually post it himself. And if he had, I would really be hoping that he didn't see the tail end of the video. Now, if let's say the staffer story is a lie and he did it himself, there's still the possibility he didn't see it to the end. But even so, it's still really irresponsible, I would say. He's entitled to free speech too. He can post what he wants, and people are used to him posting like wild stuff on his social media. But it doesn't serve him. it doesn't serve his legacy as far as what he wants to achieve. Doesn't and it doesn't help the midterms. It doesn't help Republicans. It just doesn't help the party. And gosh, it's Black History Month too. I'm thinking they're gonna have this event at the White House, which I did get an invite to it, by the way. But there's just so many things that are just like, bro, why did you let this happen? You have to be more careful about what you post. I used to work at the Michigan Republican Party, and we had to be so careful about what we posted. I made the graphics and I made the videos. I didn't make all the stuff that they ended up posting or whatever, but that was my job. And before we could okay for my stuff that I made to be posted, it had to go through all the directors. I was a creative director, but I wasn't like a main director with like I was like a manager, I guess, is what I would say. I was within the comms department, but I wasn't like a manager of the GOP or whatever. The head was the chair, and at the time it was Ronna McDaniel, and she wasn't there at the office all the time or whatever, but she had an executive director who was I actually don't remember there was someone who ran the actual organization day-to-day operations and stuff. And then there was someone who was there who like represented her interests as chair. And then there was a finance director, there was a political director, and there was a comms director, and there was someone who was there who handled all our like HR compliance stuff, and with like our ads and the stuff that we put out. And so when I made a graphic, when I made a video, I would have to send it to my boss, who was a comms director, and then after she approved of it, then I had to go get approval from everybody else, all the other directors, sign off on it. And everybody else had to sign off on it. Sometimes I had to convince them, like, no, this is gonna be funny, Nick. No, this will be cool. At first, when I started working there, I got more pushback. Eventually, people just, started to trust me more or whatever. And then the last person who would look at the stuff was the our compliance person to make sure like the disclaimers and whatnot were correct. And so after that, I didn't even really would post the stuff. We had one of the directors was our digital director, and he would post the stuff. He liked to say that I made the bullets and he fired them. So there was a process about posting stuff on our socials, because we were very careful about what we put up. I was thinking about the other day, the first time we went to Mackinac Island, because there's like a annual fundraiser that they do on Mackinac Island. And so right before we went to Mackinac, the unemployment was down or something. So I made a graphic about it, and I spelled unemployment wrong. And nobody else caught it. And it was pretty early in my career, I think, at the place. And so a reporter ended up like calling us, me like, hey, just so you know, the infographic is spelled wrong. And so she thanked them. And so I fixed the infographic and took it down, and we put up a new one. And then they still wrote an article about it. They still wrote an article about my typo. And so my boss was really cool about it. She's like, we'll just have to be more careful next time. So they were very careful about different stuff that went out. They were careful about emails that got sent out. When we sent out newsletters, the comms department would send out newsletters to our different volunteers and different people within local party stuff and so on. And we'd have stuff from different departments. Like everything had to go through approvals and stuff. It was a tedious process that was very important. So I'm saying all this obviously to say there should be such a he should understand the gravity of the situation with every single thing that he posts. And to not look to post a video, let's say that he did do it, to post the video and not watching it all the way to the end is irresponsible. It's irresponsible. It just is. So even if he hadn't seen the end and he had posted it himself and he didn't mean anything racist by it and blah, blah and he didn't know it was there because it was screen grabbed and it was a reel, it's still not appropriate. And you can say, oh, it's just a meme, it's just no harm, and etc. Sure, I guess. It still is a shot in his foot that is so unnecessary. You fight these wars on multiple fronts, and comms is so important. Comms is so important. It's not just the political department that was important. The comms department, what you say, how you say it, how people receive it, your image, how you look, all this stuff plays into politics. It does. So it's just irresponsible. Now, they said it wasn't him. They said it was a staffer. I'm going to assume that it's a pretty loyal staffer, who, because you just wouldn't allow everybody to have access to Trump's account. Highly irresponsible for the staffer to have done this. Is the staffer going to be fired? If they're a very loyal staffer, Trump doesn't just normally just get, I mean, there's people he's definitely gotten rid of that he's gotten sick of. I'm not sure if this is something that they'd be like, oh, you got to go for this. If I had posted something like that at MRP, I think maybe I'd have to go down for it. I think I'd probably go down for it. The biggest error that I made running the social media at MRP, one time I accidentally posted a photo that was supposed to be upright and it was sideways, and I deleted it and I reposted it, and someone caught it. It was like, it's too late. And I'm like, it's not a big deal, bro. That's not a big deal. And the typo. Those are my big errors. But again, we had a lot of protocols that we put in place, so I wouldn't get caught up in different kind of judgment errors like that. Now I can tell you the Trump team is pretty, from my experience. I've never been hired by them, but I can tell you a story, and I've told the story. So during 2024, my sister worked on the Trump campaign, and she handled like outreach for minorities and stuff like that. So there was an event that was going on in Detroit. It was like a round table breakfast thing. Yeah, I don't think it was prayer breakfast. It was like a round table thing with different ministers and so on that she was arranging. And she put out a email, like a press release, that had the pastor's name wrong. Now there was two pastors with very similar names. One is a Democrat in Detroit and the other is a Republican who we've done a lot of stuff with, but they have extraordinarily similar names. And she accidentally said the Democrat's name. And she knows the Republican. She just made a mistake. And so she had sent it off to the Trump folks. They didn't catch the mistake because, she knows the area. She knows these people more. It really was her mistake to catch. And so when they sent it back to her for like final approval, she didn't catch it and they sent it out. And so people were really upset, or the Democrat pastor was really upset about it. And she really tried to get in contact with him to explain what happened. And she got in contact with people who had his contact information, who told her that he was aware of the situation, yet he still wanted to make it about him and make it into a big story. And then there were Democrat operatives who also wanted to make it into a big story. So they were saying stuff like that the Trump campaign is racist and they don't know. They think all black people are like, basically was the narrative that they were trying to push, which is a really big stretch. But the crazy thing about this story is that this was all going down right after my mom died. When my sister got that email to look over this stuff, now maybe she was taking on too much at once, but the world doesn't stop because you have a parent who died, you know, and stuff still needed to get done. And she probably should have just like kind of stepped away for a second, but she tried to power through. But she was literally at the funeral home. Literally at the funeral home when she looked at the thing. And so once she found out that she made a mistake, she was like, "Oh no, I have to take responsibility for this." And the people in the Trump campaign were like, "No, Gina, that's okay. It's okay. Like, we understand what's going on. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, you don't have to throw yourself under the bus." And she said, "I do, because they are going to say that you guys did this because you're racist." That's what she said. That's what she predicted. So Gina she wrote up something just explaining, like, I made the mistake. I'm human. My mom just died. And that's kind of, you know, I'm shortening it, but she wrote a statement, and they didn't put her whole statement in the articles and stuff that went out because they would look really bad if they did. And some people reached out to her and was like, "Oh gosh, I'm so sorry." As a matter of fact, I went there that day to the prayer breakfast, and it wasn't a prayer breakfast, it was a round table thing. And at that time, I was like really TO'd about some of the positions that Trump was taking on abortion. And so I was really mad. And I wasn't really planning to go. I knew it was my sister's thing, but I did. The reason why I went is because she was planning it, and she was really hurting. We were all really hurting at the time. And I went more there to that event to support my sister than I did to support Trump. But I went there, and there were reporters who were there to cover the event that were like, "You're Gina, right?" And she said, "Yeah." And they're like, "I'm so sorry about your mother." But she knew that they would try to use that mistake to say, "Hey, Trump is racist. Republicans are racist. Oh, even if it was a black person, black people who made the mistake, they're I don't know, no good Uncle Tom type people. Shame on that pastor," who, by the way, got involved in a different kind of scandal later. But shame on them. That's what happened. That's what happened. So again, they were really sweet with her, and like, "You don't have to throw yourself under the bus." And she's like, I'm going to have to, at least they're going to try to do that anyway, but I have to try to do some kind of damage control, explain what happened, my mistake. So this doesn't blow back on the campaign as hard as it could. So it was a story in Michigan for a little bit. I don't know how huge it was, but it was like in major papers. So that's what happened. So when someone did a super chat earlier saying that the way that they push propaganda makes people want to defend Trump more and more. And I know that's true. And it's obvious that we have observed that the more they push and do crazy stuff, like the example I just gave, but people are aware of many others. People are like, "Oh, you guys are going to come at him for every little thing." So I feel like I'm going to have to defend him. I feel like I have to defend him. As a matter of fact, there that day, I already told you guys that I was really mad about a lot of Trump stuff that Trump had done. And so when reporters started asking me questions, I could have just been like, "Bro, leave me alone. I'm not into it," or whatever. But I answered the questions. I was there. And people are asking me about like Kamala and Trump and like why support Trump. And I said, if you really want to know anything about this election, just look at how they talk about each other. Donald Trump can just tell the truth about Kamala Harris. He can literally just post an interview with her and say, "Hey, our new attack ad just dropped," and she's making up all this kind of stuff about him, trying to like look at policies and like made up, there's things that they point to like Project 2025 and stuff that's not even in there. And like, you could talk about what his actual policies on his website are, his campaign promises, things that he's actually done because he's already been president and so on. But they make up a lot of lies. They take a lot of, they literally clips out of just chopped up, severely chopped up to paint different narratives about Trump just in such disingenuous ways, while Trump can just say, hey, Kamala Harris compared ICE agents to slave catchers. Or she said that, you know, she's against building a wall. That's what she said. She tried to she's anti-gun. She's, locked up journalists and all kinds of stuff. They could just point to her record of things that she said, that she's done, and they could be honest about her, but she doesn't want to be honest about him. So that tells you all that you need to know. Not that Trump is a perfect person, but if he's as bad as they say, then why lie? I could give you a ton of reasons to not like different stuff that he's done. But obviously the Democrats don't care about some of the things, I guess, that I would have grievances about, because they feel like they have to lie so much. So if you have to lie about someone instead of just telling the truth, like he told the truth about Kamala Harris, that tells me that she is a far bigger threat than he is. So that was basically what I was asked about, and I think CNN maybe posted some of my comments. I think I was like in maybe 2 or 3 papers or something from my comments on that day. And so the Senate candidate, Mike Rogers, was also there. He was like the lead person speaking there that day. And he also had like an interview with a local news station before the event. And he did a great job on the interview. So, but anyway, I understand people want to defend him, and the more they lie, people want to defend him more. The reality is that sometimes he does dumb stuff. Sometimes they're not responsible with their social media stuff. They had posted a video, and it had, from the White House account, it was a Biggie song. And I'm not big on hip hop. I can tell you about KB, who's a Christian, artist and stuff. But I like old hip hop, even old school hip hop, like Tupac, Biggie. I saw the 50 Cent documentary on Diddy. There's just an absurd amount of information that I just don't know. Like that I didn't know about Diddy, and I didn't know about a lot of those people or whatever. And their history. But anyway, they posted a Biggie song, and the Biggie song had the N-word in it. And I didn't think it was appropriate for the White House to post a video with the N-word in it. I'm surprised it didn't become a major news story. Because beyond me not feeling it was appropriate, my main complaint was, when you do stuff like that, you're inviting unnecessary negative attention to yourself. And then I just kind of mentioned it on X, and then some people started to attack me. I guess they think I'm just an oversensitive Black, I guess. No, I just understand how the media works. I understand how politics work. I understand comms. I used to work in comms. And as a Republican, I would like us to focus on policy and to not get distracted in unnecessary kind of stuff. And this was in the midst of Trump had some good news about some good decisions and different things that were going on. I'm like, I don't want this to be a distraction from like any kind of victory to if people on CNN will talk about the White House uses the N-word and I mean, maybe they asked the press secretary about it or whatever, but I was amazed that it didn't become a bigger deal. But it was unnecessary to me. So I've always had issues with how they handle his accounts. We know that Trump can muzzle himself, I guess, during 2016. And this, I guess, this was a short time. but he understood it was do or die as far as the election went, and so he was being very toward the end of the election. He was being pretty disciplined about his online profile, and that didn't last. but he understood it was do or die. So it's not that he can't be disciplined, but it's hard to tell old folks, stubborn old folks anything. I guess they're in their ways. They want to do what they want to do, and they're not going to change. Like someone asked Senator Kennedy about Trump, and he's just like he is who he is. He's not going to change. Like, what do you want me to do? And I maybe he won't. Maybe we're just talking, we're complaining, and we'll be back here complaining about something like this some other time. But I'm just tired. I'm sick of it. So that's all I guess I got kind of to say about that particular subject. Again, people understand that the media does lie and push propaganda about Trump. So I think, again, that's another reason why they're so quick to defend him. And I think we could be more honest about everyone if everyone was trying to be honest about this, what was going on, including the media. For example, the Trump very fine people hoax, and people pushing that Donald Trump said called the neo-Nazis very fine people, the white supremacists very fine people, when he condemned them. And it was years before some people saw the rest of the video with Trump saying, I condemn them totally. It was years before the media started really fact checking and saying, yeah, he actually condemned them the whole time. And but they wanted to push that narrative because it was good for them politically. It was very good for them to politically to push that narrative and to make people believe that that is how Trump felt and so on. So even if you have all the explanations in the world about this video, like Trump didn't post it, it was a staffer, or he didn't see it, or maybe the staffer didn't see it at the end, etc. A lot of people aren't going to care because they believe the propaganda about Donald Trump. And it's not fair that people have pushed such propaganda about him for all these years. But when people have pushed that kind of propaganda about you, you don't kind of shrug your shoulders and say, well, I'm going to post whatever I want and it's not going to matter, especially when you're the president of the United States, And it's not just that he's the president of the United States. He's also like the figurehead of the party. And it's not only that he's a figurehead of the party, like his people basically run it, like the RNC, like it's so connected with the Trump sphere. So what he does is a reflection on the down ballot. And it's already a very slim margin of control that we have. The Democrats are playing, games as far as their redistricting model and stuff to really not give Republicans representation as far as in the House and stuff. So it's just going to get way worse. And it's the midterms could just absolutely be a bloodbath. And then once he loses control of the House and the Senate, maybe he'll lose control of both. But it's likely he's going to lose control of the House. What will he be able to get done then? What will he be able to get done? He's already a lame duck president. So just even going forward, it's not good. Now, to all the people out there who are commentators, who are politicians and so on, I advise you just explain what happened, but you don't need to make all kinds of different excuses for what happened. You can just, I don't know, explain it the way I explained it. But I don't think you need to bend over backwards to defend just really boneheaded behavior. I don't. It's so unnecessary. Again, banana peel shot in the foot. And unforced error, as someone pointed out in the comments. You know, you don't have to kind of just shrug it off if you don't want to. I mean, obviously there are bigger things in the world like going on than this story. And to people who are like, why aren't you more upset about it? Why weren't you more mad about this? Even if he had seen the video, I think I would assume if he saw them as monkeys, Michelle and Obama as monkeys, his mind wouldn't be like, oh gosh, I'm gonna post this because I don't like black people and it's racist. I think his mind would go, I don't like them. I'm petty. I want to post something that makes them look stupid. I would think it was so personal anyway. But even beyond that, there are things that he has done policy-wise that I've been more upset about. Like this doesn't scratch the surface of seeing a mailer that talks about Trump's common sense abortion policies to me. That made me mad. Hearing them like push out pro-life people at the convention so they can change the platform, that made me mad. Okay, that made me mad. This I'm just like, why? Please be more responsible, please. Please. So anyway, I'm done with that subject. I guess we're almost at I started a little late, but we're almost at 5:00. You know, I was downstairs. I knew I was gonna have to touch on this subject, talk about it, but it's just funny. I'm trying to have a good day. You guys know I go to church on Friday nights. We're gonna practice some new songs tonight. So I was listening to some songs, and I was worshiping and then like listening to the music, practicing the music. But I was also doing some exercise and stuff. I was just having myself a good time, and I'm just thinking I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna dress this foolishness. And I'm like, why can't we just like, I don't know. Christ is my firm foundation. It's just so, I don't know, sometimes you just gotta laugh because it's so dumb. What a God. What I wanted to talk about before all this kind of stuff kind of went down, the mayor of New York decided to get up and talk about how Muhammad treated the stranger. And you hear a lot of Christians talk about scriptures about treating God's direction, about treating the strangers well, because they were strangers in like, Egypt and stuff. And they were mistreated. So treat other people well, but they're still supposed to obey the law. A lot of people are just kind of leaving a lot of context to defend illegal immigration. So I'll just play the clip. I'm obviously not gonna be able to go into it as much as I want to go into it. Because I can't like really go late today because we gotta finish getting ready for church and then eat and stuff and then open the church and stuff like that. But let me just show you this clip because I had intended to watch a pretty long video with you guys with Nabil Qureshi addressing Muhammad. I really hope that David Wood or God Logic or people who really talk about Islam a lot address this clip because this is wild to me. But I'll just say a little bit.
I think of the freedom from suffering that Buddhism teaches us is only possible if we remove the three poisons of desire, hatred, and ignorance from our daily lives. We need not accept suffering as unchangeable. We need not treat hatred as the natural state. We have the power to set ourselves free. And I consider my own faith, Islam, a religion built upon a narrative of migration. The story of the Hijrah reminds us that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a stranger too, who fled Mecca and was welcomed in Medina. Surah An-Nahl 1642 tells us, as for those who immigrated in the cause of Allah after being persecuted, we will surely bless them with a good home in this world. Or as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Islam began as something strange and will go back to being strange. So glad tidings to the strangers. If faith...
So issue here, like Islam is a religion of migration. You mean conquest, bruh? Do you mean conquest? Do you mean conquest? By the way, you can't go into Mecca without being Muslim, by the way, but Muhammad, and a lot of people bring him up nowadays to point out the fact that he was a pedophile who married a 6-year-old and porked a 9-year-old, but he was a warlord, man. They would make Christians and Jews pay fines for not being Muslim unless they converted. And actually people were paying the fines so much that they were like, because they were making a lot of money off the fines, they're like, wait a second. We still want to charge y'all some money. He was a warlord. Like, what? It's a religion of conquest that spread through conquest and violence and slavery. It's not a religion of peace. I'm not saying there's not peaceful Muslims. But man, there's scriptures in the Quran, and we can talk about hadith and stuff too, but like in the Quran that talk about killing the unbelievers and stuff. So I just cut it out, bro. This is funny. There is a video on YouTube, and I was going to show it, but with Nabil Qureshi. Nabil passed away, but I've talked about him a lot. He has a book that he wrote, Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus. David Wood, one of the people I mentioned, he befriended David, and so David began this long friendship with him that was also challenging him, trying to get Nabil to consider Christianity and to research it and to see if it was believable. And then he got to the point where he believed that he was 87 something percent that Christianity was true. He's like, why don't you become a Christian? He's like, because I'm 100% certain that the Quran is true. And then one of their other friends was just like, okay, like, then why don't you like analyze it like you've been analyzing Christianity? And so he decided that how he was going to analyze the evidence about Islam to kind of see if it was true was to look at the life of Muhammad and to actually look at the reliability of the Quran, because they're like, oh, the Quran is perfect, and unlike the Bible that's been corrupted, which none of their claims about the Bible being corrupted or anything makes a sense at all. And there's also the Islamic dilemma and so on. Because there's scriptures in the Quran that tell them to that the people of the book, which would be Christians and whatever, and Jews or whatever, to trust the book. And it's like, okay, well, if your word tells us to trust the Bible teaches us to really not trust the Quran, and that Muhammad would be a false prophet and stuff. So if your book tells us to trust our book tells us not to trust you. And they'll be like, well, your book's been corrupted. It's like, okay, then why would Muhammad say that if it was corrupt? Because when are you saying it was corrupt? Because your religion comes way after ours, and we have all these manuscripts that we have, so it's very old. So when did it get corrupted? It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, that's kind of a very quick explanation of the Islamic dilemma. Yeah, so he's realized it wasn't reliable as far as how it was preserved and there et cetera. But then he started looking into the life of Muhammad, and he did not find some kind of peaceful person. Muslims are often say, or they're often told, that they only fight defensive wars, which he found out was not the case. So you can find a lot of content online on YouTube with Nabil, including an interview that talks about like Muhammad and stuff. I was gonna play some of that today, but I'm running out of time. So yeah, Muhammad was not a nice guy, guys. My sister pointed out, she said, well, just look at all the migration happening in the UK right now. Yeah, is that what we want? I think this is just an example of Takia going on right now with Mr. Mayor here. And if you're unfamiliar with what Takia is, it's basically Muslims are lying to make themselves look better so they can gain power and then basically pounces. But yeah, it's just lies, migration. You can call it migration. We're gonna call it conquest through violence and slavery and etc. Oh, New York. Poor sad New York. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktunions.com, check a different content on the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost a stream. We're in my site, all that stuff. Guys, get support. I very much appreciate you guys. Please be safe. Have a good weekend, and I will see you on Monday. God bless.